Quick thoughts. We're gonna fuck them and leave. Alright, welcome to Quick Thoughts Week 2. I am, of course, Sean of Super Jam Session, and we're gonna break down every game as quickly as we can. We only got so much time, and we're gonna run through and rhyme until we find who's gonna be the winner coming into Week 3. Start with the Vikings and the Eagles. Vikings 28, Eagles 34. Jalen Hurts 2 touchdowns, running, throws for a score, and the Vikings fumble a lot. The Eagles, they're 2-0, no surprise there. Had a little trouble against New England. It's definitely a tight contest with the Vikings, and they've got a gritty Buccaneers team that they're going to face on Monday Night Football. But this Eagles team proving to be exactly what we know them to be and have been for the last couple of years. So good on them. As for the Vikings, 0-2, it's not time to panic yet, Vikings fans, but you have to admit that Kirk Cousins is doing his best to beat Kirk Cousins. 4 touchdowns, 364 yards, and yet somehow ends up with an L no matter what, even though in garbage time they caught up to him. The Vikings fall to the Eagles on Thursday Night Football. No need to panic yet, Vikings fans. There is plenty of time to expand. Falcons-Packers, 25-24. Falcons win it right at the end, and a winning field goal from GOTCHU as the Falcons get past the Packers 25-24. The Falcons, they're going to turn a lot of heads. They're turning my head as I wrote them off, as you heard at the beginning of the season. Now, 2-0 could lead to a lot of different places. But you can't deny that this team that everybody said wasn't going to be that great is all of a sudden getting his reps in, as Ritter, the quarterback, seems to be doing a decent job. Only 1 interception, 1 touchdown, but the rest of the team filling in underneath. This team might be surprisingly scary come down the stretch. As for the Packers, it will be interesting to see what happens. Whether just Jordan Love can handle being called Justin when he is just insurmountably short of a victory. Will he be able to bounce back in a meaningful way like his predecessors? But next up, Bills-Raiders. Bills 38, Raiders 10. The Bills, what a bounce back game. You needed this bounce back game. Josh Allen doing what Josh Allen does best. 274 yards, 3 touchdowns. It was just a great day, field day for the Bills. Defense stepped up their game, looked a lot better than they did against the Jets. And as for the Raiders, it's really tough to be the team that's bounced back on. But that's what happened with the Raiders. Jimmy G, hard to say what's going to happen with this team. When they get going, they can get going. But Josh McDaniels, to me, I'm still not sold on him as a coach. And no matter how good this Raiders team might be, they might be limited by the fact that they have subpar calling on the sidelines. But that is more to be developed later on. Ravens-Bengals. Ravens at Cincinnati win 27-24. I'm not sold on this Ravens team yet. I don't think that right now Lamar Jackson and OBJ and Mark Andrews and all of those great weapons that John Harbaugh has, I'm not necessarily convinced quite yet that this team is really capable of going down the stretch in a meaningful way, especially because usually it's week 6 or 7 when both Lamar Jackson and OBJ get injured. So it's a good start. It's a meaningful start, and it's a start against 2 teams that they really, well, I guess Houston, it's really not that majorly impressive, but against the Bengals, who everybody thought was going to be a major threat this year, and so far 0-2. So on that line, Joe Burrow's out. You kind of could tell he was injured during week 1, if you're going to be honest, in that game against the Browns. 2 division losses in 2 weeks hurts, no matter which way you spin it. I personally think that this Bengals team is average at best, and they just lost the guy that just got a lot of money. So it's going to be something very interesting to see whether the Bengals can bounce back from this, especially with their quarterback in question and their wide receiving core not as strong as it used to be, and seemingly that offensive line not quite as good as people were hoping it would end up being come hell or high water, especially with the way that the Super Bowl went and last year went when it comes playoff time. What does it mean for both teams? Too early to tell. Seahawks-Lions. Seahawks pull out an overtime shocker against the Lions to go 1-1, 37-31. It's a gritty game, but it's a game Geno Smith needed to win so that everybody could not put up the narrative that last year was an absolute fluke. Geno needed to light it up, and I mean 328 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that's just throwing the ball. They had a great day, all around great day. 10 points in the third quarter, 14 in the fourth quarter to come back. And the Lions are a gritty team and they're a tough team. So the fact that the Lions, they're 1-1, they shouldn't feel bad about this. They beat the Chiefs, they fall to the Seahawks, but those are two very good teams, two playoff teams in my estimation, that the Lions are contending against. So 1-1 ain't bad. A lot of interesting things to see coming out of Detroit's camp in the coming weeks. Chargers-Titans, another overtime thriller, 27-24. The Titans pull it off. Ryan Tannehill didn't have the greatest day, but Derrick Henry pulls in for a touchdown. Keenan Allen still doing his thing. 111 yards, 2 touchdowns for the the Chargers. And this Chargers team, coin flip Staley, just cannot win these games, at least for the first 2, and this is not a good sign for the Chargers. This is the team I might be worried about the most heading into week 3, because these are 2 games that the Chargers should have won, probably needed to win, and didn't. And when it comes to how intense the AFC is now, you really can't afford to be losing those kinds of games. As for the Titans, that was a must-win for the Titans. Otherwise, a lot of people probably would have written them off, given what Jacksonville has been able to do. We'll get to them in a second. But Jacksonville is going to be tough competition. Titans should be right up there with them. This is the kind of win that separates the men from the boys in that respect, and we'll see if the wheat can cut themselves from the chaff going forward. Bears-Bucks, 17-27. Buccaneers are 2-0. Baker Mayfield throwing some passes like Mahomes would, having a great time balling, having fun. This team has got grit. This team has got determination, and yeah, it's just the Bears, but this team was also supposed to be just the Bucks. But 317 yards and 1 touchdown is pretty solid. Mike Evans with a great catch, Rachaad White with a rushing touchdown. All the Bucks players had a day. The Bears still got a lot of things to figure out. And even though this may be a game that you think would have been closer than it was, Tampa Bay's defense is better than everybody thought. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle Monday Night Football against the Eagles. Chiefs-Jaguars, 17-9. A very intense defensive contest. Very gritty. Jaguars had themselves a very difficult day getting anything going offensively, but I don't think either of these teams should be upset with their performance. It just goes to show why these two teams make it as far as they do, as far as the Chiefs making it to the Super Bowl several times, winning it last year. This is the kind of reason that they do that, and this is the kind of purpose that they do for that. So I'm interested to see just where they go going forward in that respect. And the Jaguars, I don't think they should feel too bad about this, because the Jaguars have a good defense. They kept the Chiefs to 17, which is impressive in and of itself. But these are the kind of days where Trevor Lawrence really needs to define himself. So I wouldn't feel too bad about this. You just keep going the way that you're going, and that's the way that you got to go. Colts-Texans, 31-20. I'm not expecting any outcome other than this. Sucks that you lost your quarterback, in the Colts case, to a concussion, but that doesn't mean that the Colts season is lost. Gardner Minshew, I think, is coming in now. He could definitely hold over while Richardson recovers. The Texans, I don't think, are expecting the win and aren't winning, and probably won't win for the foreseeable future, but they got to know what they have. This game was a game, and CJ Stroud still threw for 384 yards and 2 touchdowns, so you can't be mad with that. Niners-Rams, despite the effort of the Niners, 30-23, the Niners are now 2-0, and despite the efforts of the Niners to give that game back to the Rams in the final 6 minutes, they hold on. Even though Matthew Stafford, it was a kind of an awkward day for him. 307 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. McCaffrey runs in a touchdown, but this is a very interesting team. The Rams are decent. The Rams are decent, but they're going to have to win games like this if they want to move forward. It was an impressive win against the Seahawks, so splitting division games, it's not great, but it's not the worst thing in the world. There's a lot of game left to play. We'll see what happens. Giants-Cardinals.
Birds.
The Giants somehow score 31 points in the second half to win this game.
You missed me!
After the Cardinals start off hot and peter out, but what an effort by this Giants defense. They woke up. Daniel Jones proving that he might just be worth that contract that he had. 321 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick, but that pick was not his fault. Credit to James Conner of Arizona, the running back, 23 carries, 106 yards, and 1 touchdown. And this is a team that is allegedly tanking. They're 0-2, but nobody's told the team. And so long as they keep playing like that, this team's going to be at least somewhat interesting to watch. They're going to keep games close, but the Giants could have lost the season on this game, and they saved it, but just barely. Jets and Cowboys. Boy, this was supposed to be the game where the Jets demonstrated that their defense is elite, and it was more like the elite. Young and bucked, because the Cowboys had their way with the Jets basically from the opening drive. 30-10 is how this ended. This Cowboys team is scary. Dan Quinn is a genius. He is going to get a head coaching job, I bet you, come next year because of how good a defensive coordinator he is. I've always liked Dan Quinn. He's a perfect fit for this Cowboys defense. Shut the Jets down. 2 touchdowns for Dak Prescott, not an interception in sight. Even Tony Pollard had 72 yards. CeeDee Lamb at 143. It was a great day for Dallas, but let's see how they do once they leave the facing teams from New York, whether they'll fare in the same kind of schedule. Commanders-Broncos. Commanders hold on to a fast one. Even though the Broncos came up and tied it, or almost tied it, a failed 2-point conversion, just didn't quite do it. Russell Wilson looking not bad. 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Not bad for them at all. But this Sam Howell, he's starting to make moves too. This team is a lot more complete than I think people expected from the Commanders. So they're playing great ball. We'll see what happens with them. But 2-0, not a bad place to start in a very competitive division. Broncos 0-2. It's the AFC West, so safe for the Chiefs. You never know what can happen in the West. So not all hope is lost in Sean Payton's neck of the woods. Dolphins-Patriots, 24-17. Tough game, but Tua Tagovailoa is proving that he is worth a pretty penny. As Rashad Mostert, the running back, had 2 touchdowns. Great day for him. They really just opened up and took care of Patriots in Gillette. I wouldn't be worried if I'm the Patriots too badly. How many times has this team gone 2-2 and then won the Super Bowl? Like 4? And I know that was Tom Brady and it was a different situation, but this is something where Bill Belichick seems to kind of figure these things out. It's a young team. They scored, and they got it to within a touchdown's worth by the end of the game. It's just that this Dolphins team might just be better than we all expected. So if this Dolphins team can stay healthy, look out, because they might be a dark horse to make some waves in the playoff time. If they keep playing like this, they're going to be a threat. Saints-Panthers, 20-17. A close game, but a necessary win for the Saints, who are trying to have this expectation and are trying to keep this expectation that they are somehow the de facto winners of the South, but they are not really playing like it. They're getting slow but sure. Derek Carr, 28 yards and an interception. Not necessarily exactly what they were hoping for. Taysom Hill proves to be a great switch hitter between quarterback and running back with 9 carries and 75 yards. This is an interesting team to watch, but they're 2-0 and they're getting wins, and that's all you can ask for with them. And the Panthers are kind of similar to the Texans as far as they're going to go where they need to go, and they're not going to win much because they have to see what they have with a new coach and a new quarterback. It's all unforeseen territory for the Panthers, but every game is a game where you learn, and that's all you can ask for when this game in the National Football League. So Panthers fall to 0-2, but it's not like they're expecting to be the powerhouse team in the league. They're seeing what they have, and so far it's not looking too bad. Browns-Steelers. Tough game to lose Nick Chubb, especially because they're saying he might be gone for forever. But Deshaun Watson had a decent game, 235 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Kenny Pickett played about as well as he could, but this game belongs to the defense. And it belongs to TJ Watt, who is an absolutely dynamic defensive player. Maybe the best defensive player in the league right now, whose name isn't Aaron Donald or Micah Parsons. And he is truly an all-around player. There was one drive in the middle of the second quarter where he literally was the 3-and-out. He got the tackle, he tipped the ball, and he got a sack. And you heard TJ Watt, and then again, TJ Watt, and then again, TJ Watt, and the Browns have to punt. This kid is good, this defense is good, and the Steelers season is back on track after getting trounced by a tough San Fran team. This is going to be an interesting division. 2-0, go the Ravens. 1-1 Browns, 1-1 Steelers, 0-2 Bengals, but there is a lot of football left to be played. Those are the quick thoughts. Let's fuck them, let's get out of here, and let's make sure that you leave them a good tip.
Balls, feet, let's talk about them. That's right, folks, it's football time, and we're here to talk about Week 3 in the NFL. And for those of you who sport, welcome to Super Jam Session. Anyways, it's week 3 in the NFL season, and by week 3, you can figure out who the good teams are and who the bad teams are. And right now, we got some good teams, we got some bad teams, and we got some mid-as-hell teams. So let's go through week 3, starting with Thursday Night Football. It's San Francisco over the New York Football Giants. 30-12, my boys, Niner gang, bang, bang. Let's talk about it. 39 minutes and 10 seconds of possession time. Let's talk about it. Brock Purdy throwing that thing through the air with grace. 310 yards, 2 touchdowns. McCaffrey getting in there. Deebo Samuel getting in there. Kittle being a monster. That defense, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. Oh my goodness. 49ers, you put on a show Thursday night, and I appreciate it. Giants, I hope you enjoy Eli Manning 2.0, without the generational talents. I'm not saying the Giants season is over, but they looked about as cooked as a New York sewer.
What?
Detroit, Atlanta. Well, I think we know for now that the Atlanta Falcons are not quite there yet. I mean, they didn't play bad, but they didn't play great either.
Mid!
Atlanta's Desmond Ridder, 201 yards. He was okay. Bijan Robinson was okay. Kyle Pitts, the less said about him, the better. Just remember when he was a good fantasy option. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Lions, after getting a little bit of a rocky start in week 2 with the Seahawks, get back their winning ways. And honestly, just looking at the NFC North, I mean, oof. Amon St. Brown, that my guy, he's looking to take out names, and he's all out of bubble gum.
I understood that reference.
Jared Goff trying to prove that he's not mid. All these Lions trying to prove that they ain't from Detroit, even though they play in Detroit. Does that make sense? I don't know if it makes sense. Whatever. Moving on. Chargers, Vikings, mid as fuck. Okay. If there was a way for both teams to lose, not tie, lose, I would give it to these two teams. What the hell, Brandon Staley?
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I love the young people.
Coin flip Staley, as Sean likes to call him. What were you thinking? With only 4 points in a lead and only like a minute left in time, to go for it from your own 25-yard line on 4th down, just punt the damn ball. Give your defense a chance. And Vikings, what was that time of possession game management? Kirk Cousins, what the hell was that? Cousins, I feel so bad for you. You should be better than what you are, but you are stuck on a terrible show. My goodness. Oh, Packers, Saints. Ooh, Packers saved their season. This was actually not a bad game until Derek Carr got an arrow in the knee. And by the arrow, I mean a football player shattering into it. At least Jameis Winston came in and saved y'all with the crab legs, right? I don't know. You get Alvin Kamara back after suspension, maybe he'll do something. We'll see what happens. Packers, Jordan Love. I don't know if I'm feeling the love yet. I mean, the dude can run, the dude can throw, but my goodness, give this dude some help. Get him some support. Because right now, all I have is A.J. Dillon, and I don't know. The rest of these players are just there. We'll see what happens. Houston, Jacksonville. Jacksonville, you have exposed yourself as being frauds. You are always frauds, and you will always continue to be frauds. You suck like your city. You suck like your owner. You let Tank Dell have 145 yards. I don't even know who Tank Dell is. God damn it. CJ Stroud, on the other hand, looks good. I don't know if he, looks good because it's the Jaguars or if he looks good on his own, and that's the problem. But when we said at the beginning of this year that the AFC South was going to be one of the worst divisions of football, we meant it. Oh, my God. Miami, Denver. Miami, your offense just delicious, just beautiful. I don't even know how to describe it. Maybe the single greatest pounding to happen in Florida since the greatest single pounding to happen in Florida. You may be the AFC favorites right now, and I'm not even kidding. That offense is just something special. Tagovailoa, when you finally don't have your brain cooked, you can throw the ball. You got a run game. You have a support game. Mostert was always a great running back. Tyreek Hill just goes burr. Hopefully he doesn't go burr in the horror movies. Bow chicka wow wow.
What the?
Denver.
Stop! He's already dead.
Just shoot them behind the back of the barn already. Sean Payton, you shouldn't have come back. Russell Wilson, you should go away. And the rest of his team should go away. The Broncos used to be known for defense. Now they're only known for being hit really, really hard in the mouth. My goodness. Cleveland, Tennessee. Are you there? Is anybody home? Is anybody there? Because right now, all I see is a bunch of shit. Derrick Henry, I feel so bad for you. Your generational talent being carried to a bad team. You were supposed to be the greatest running back in the history of the NFL with the speed and power. And now you just feel like new age Larry Fitzgerald being wasted on terrible teams with terrible quarterbacks. Get to Will Levis already. I'm tired of Ryan Tannehill. Get to Will Levis and move on. Cleveland, you won, but that doesn't mean I'm happy for you because you know who's playing quarterback. And I refuse to say you know whose name. Buffalo, Washington. You know, after week 1, I was worried about Buffalo, I'm not going to lie. But I think that's an aberration. They got back on their form, and they did what they needed to do, and that was to destroy the remains of whatever the Washington Commanders are. Josh Allen, you played pretty well, all things considered. You can run and you can throw, but let's see what happens when you have to go up against another team that's actually good. Washington, you tried. But I still think you have a decent chance. It's just you're not there quite yet. Indianapolis, Baltimore. Is the Indianapolis Colts good? Is Gardner Minshew a good quarterback? Or did Baltimore throw this game?
The world may never know.
The answer, my friends, is maybe. I wouldn't say Lamar Jackson was terrible, but I wouldn't say he was great either. I mean, he did run for 2 touchdowns, and he did score a lot of points and yards. But at the same time, you are a quarterback. We've been trying to say that you have not been a running back, but you're a quarterback, but you run for touchdowns and yards. You're going to be this year's new age Michael Vick. At least throw the ball like Michael Vick used to be able to do. Indianapolis, I feel good for you, but at the same time, you ruined Anthony Richardson already. Just whatever. New England, New York Jets. It's the Jets. What can I say? It's the New York Jets. Zach Wilson. Ugh. Breece Hall, I don't blame him. He's just trying to get back from injury. Wilson, I don't know. This defense was supposed to be good, and they held up their end, but this offense cannot score for shit. Joe Namath is saying that we should get rid of Zach Wilson. Colin Kaepernick is asking if he could be on the New York Jets practice squad. At this point, trade back for Sam Darnold, because at least you have hope there. I don't know. New England, you won a game. Congratulations. That may be your only win for a while. Get rid of Bill Belichick, because he ain't it. Seattle, Carolina. So, Seattle, I know you won this game, but, do you have a defense? I'm being legit here. I mean, your offense did go pretty good. I mean, you scored, a lot of points. But by that same token, when you have to face a real team, you have to be able to stop somebody. And Carolina's not bad, but, really? You let them score that many points? I mean, it's not the worst thing, but still. Until you can prove yourself that you can play defensive football and not be in these high-scoring shootouts, I don't believe you as contenders. We'll see what happens. Kansas City, Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, the Taylor Swift Bowl.
Fuck you, Skylar.
Seriously, there's nothing to talk about. Chicago is a shithole of a franchise. It says something that when one of the most historical franchises in history literally shits all over the bed. Oh, wait, am I talking about football or hockey or baseball? because I could say any of those things with Chicago. Seriously, what is going on here? Bears, get yourselves together. I mean, if the goal is to draft Caleb Williams and replace Justin Fields, you're doing a good job of it. In fact, maybe you should have kept the #1 overall pick from last year instead of trading it for stuff, because clearly that's not working. Kansas City, just do your thing. Make a bunch of Taylor Swift shirts. Boo! Make all that money. Travis Kelce, do your thing. That's all you got to do. Arizona, Dallas. Okay. Dallas.
What the fuck?
No, I'm being serious. Just what the fuck? How did you lose to a team that is openly tanking? This Arizona Coyotes offense is so bad, I don't even know who they are. And I just called them the Coyotes. Seriously, Dallas. What the hell? We expect you to choke in the playoffs, not week 3. What is this? You didn't even lead the game for most of this. You let Arizona take the lead. My goodness. Dak Prescott, you better do something. Otherwise, you're going to be Black Kirk Cousins. Just ugh. I know you lost Diggs, but still, he wasn't the key to your defense, was he? You still got Micah Parsons. You can still do stuff, right? Arizona, you won. Congratulations. Now make sure you keep losing so that way you continue your tank. And Dallas, I just have to say it, in the immortal words of Stephen A. Smith, how about them Cowboys? Alrighty, Pittsburgh Steelers, Raiders. Ugh. Just ugh. Listen, I know Sunday night games aren't what they used to be, but did you have to stink it up on Sunday Night Football? Seriously, Raiders. What are you at this point? I don't even know anymore. Jimmy Garoppolo, you are terrible, and you should not be a starting quarterback in this league. The fact that the Raiders did make you a starting quarterback, just terrible. Get Devontae Adams out of there. Get him to a good team. I don't care. Give that man a chance to win the Super Bowl while he's still relatively productive. I'm serious, Raiders. What is wrong with you? Why Jimmy Garoppolo? Steelers, you have Kenny Pickett. You have TJ Watt. Just do your thing. Win up 9 games and lose in the first round, a.k.a. the Mike Tomlin special. Just do what you got to do. Philadelphia, Tampa Bay. Monday Night Football. And a matchup between 2-0 teams. I'm going to say this. Tampa Bay, you impressed me. You really did. I know you didn't win, but you impressed me. And you have a defense. And that defense is pretty good. I mean, your offense isn't great. Baker Mayfield is pretty mid, and you have a bunch of players that can't do shit. But that defense, better make sure you keep all those players as best you can and maybe add to it when you go to the draft. Philadelphia, just a whole-hum performance. You could have done better. But, I mean, when you're going up against Tampa Bay, I expected more points, but you didn't. It is what it is. A win's a win. Cincinnati, Los Angeles. I would like to apologize to the Steelers and Raiders about stinking it up on Sunday Night Football, because this game was the game that stuck it up on Monday Night Football. Joe Burrow, Joe Cool, Joe Mama got nothing.
Wow.
Seriously, you can't throw the ball right now. You can't throw the ball. Get this man healed, let him rest up, and then come back. I mean, you don't have a choice because you lost to the Cleveland Browns and you're 1-2. Rams. I mean, here's the thing. Get Cooper Kupp. Get Puka Nacua some help. Get him a run game, and maybe you'll have a chance. Stafford is by himself on an island with him and Puka Nacua. Everybody else is just there. We'll see what happens, but, like, you got to get some help. And get Aaron Donald some support. The man literally injured himself and had to put himself back into the game because he's the only defensive player worth a shit. And this game should not have been as close and as boring as it was. And yet here it is. Monday Night Football, baby. With that, week 3 is over. We're going to go to week 4, the quarter season point. Let's see which teams prove us wrong, prove us right, and let's put those balls into feet. Or feet into balls. I don't know. Joshua, are you into feet?
Yes.
Are you in the balls?
Yes.
Sean, are you in the feet? Are you in the balls?
Yes.
Anyways, see you all later.
Come to Papa.
Quick thoughts. Won't that hurt them?
the NFL, week 4. We got ourselves a whole big old batch of games before the bye start. So before we get NSYNC running around and suing us, play 2 frames of NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye. We're gonna do our best to give you all of the updates from week 4 of the NFL as we trudge on to week 5. We start with Thursday night, Lions-Packers, 34-20, Lions. This team is 3-1 and is proving to be the top seed in the NFC North. This team is getting better by the day. They had a hell of a game against the Chiefs. They had a setback against the Seahawks who needed to bounce back. But since then, they have absolutely ripped teams apart and made the Packers look like they are chumps. They made them look like the Bears. And David Montgomery, 3 rushing touchdowns, 121 yards. I mean, that is impressive stuff. As for the Packers, the jury is still out on Jordan Love. I'm not sure what to make of it, but I think that it's not... The issues with the Packers are far beyond just the quarterback position. I think they've got some depth issues they've got to worry about. They've got some injuries, and it's going to take some time, but we're only a quarter of the way there. He's almost a quarter of the way there. And that is more to look forward to as the weeks roll on. These two play at Thanksgiving again. Be interesting to see what the records are come that time. Falcons-Jaguars, 23-7 in London. 9:30 a.m. is way too early Eastern time to be watching a football game, but am I complaining? No! Did I watch it? No! But I do know that Jacksonville needed this game probably more than the Falcons did at this point. The fact that they had already been 1-2, and for a team that Trevor Lawrence is running, that didn't make any damn sense at all. But they came into their stride in this game, and it feels a lot more like the Jaguars that we knew from last year. But the way that this division's playing, it's still as wide open as Ann Coulter. As for the Falcons, this team is starting to get a little bit exposed. I won't lie to you. That 2-0 start was really refreshing. But this team has some work. Desmond Ritter's okay. Bijan Robinson, he's probably the biggest stud of the team. But more is needed to be done offensively if they're going to make any sort of splash in this division, especially with the way that the rest of the teams are playing. Bills-Dolphins, 48-20. Josh Allen, 320 yards, 4 touchdowns. Stephon Diggs, 120 yards, 3 touchdowns. This team is back in action. We are a little nervous when we saw them lose to the Jets in week 1, but that was kind of extraneous circumstances. Everybody was talking about how the Bills were going to take a step back. Where are we at now? This team is slaughtering the teams that are slaughtering other teams. This defense is now really hitting their stride. I think this team's only getting better, and I don't see any way this team does not end up with the division come January. As for the Dolphins, let's see what happens from here. Because the Dolphins have a really nasty habit of getting one loss after a really hot streak and then never be able to regain that momentum. And truth be told, it's not that they even had a bad day. Arcane, the running back, at 101 yards and 2 touchdowns, but they ran into a tough Bills team. And if they can't win division games like that, it's going to be very difficult to break that glass ceiling. Broncos-Bears, 31-28. Who thought the winless wonders would come up with one of the better games of the season? Does Sean Payton have to cut his sleeves off every single time in order to win? And has that really been the fault of the Broncos the whole time, is that they're just playing with proper sleeved shirts? Is there some truth to this? Let's get some stats on it. Somebody tell me what's going on here. The Bears, well, they had a hell of a second quarter, but they still fall to 0-4, 14 consecutive losses, and Matt Eberflus might be Matt Eber flying out of Chicago, but there is a lot more problems than just the quarterback and the coach here. This is a structural problem in Chicago. This is an ownership problem in Chicago, and considering that they just hit the refresh button, and now they might be in line for the number 1 and number 2 pick to start next year, oh Nelly, the Bears right now are looking more like Cubs. Ravens-Browns, 28-3. Great game from the Ravens. Full, complete game from the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, 186 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mark Andrews back where he belongs. 5 receptions, 80 yards, 2 tuds. This team has got the skill. This team is getting efficient. And yeah, they did lose OBJ, but it's nice to know that right now, the Ravens are playing at a level where you can see them taking this division if they keep moving the way they've been moving. They have a lot of good divisional wins. 2 out of their 3 wins are divisional wins. The Browns, 3 points. Not a great effort out there from the backup there that we thought actually might have some promise in the preseason, but that's why we play the games, and that's why the regular season is what it is, and the preseason is just like the pre-shows on wrestling shows. Wait, there is one?
Who are you people?
Bengals Titans 27-3. Well, speaking of good second quarters, the Titans, Ryan Tannehill, as the nefarious John Gruden would say, by the way, hope he wins his lawsuit. Ryan Tannehill, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 240 yards. Derrick Henry back in form. 22 carries, 122 yards, and 1 touchdown. There's no way else to put it. This Titans team, after suffering a couple confusing losses, as the Titans tend to do, they're starting to bounce back and really feel like this defense has got an effective way to make things done. This Bengals team, I said at the beginning of the year that this Bengals team was going to be ho-hum at best, and they're playing with a third of a Joe Burrow, and they're not throwing to Jamar Chase. So I don't know what's going on offensively, but this team is struggling isn't the word for it. This team is landsliding down to the bottom of the hill. So play that whatever sort of car is just slowly making large flips off a ravine. I don't know, Bengals, it's a quarter of the way through, but it kind of feels like you're already out of it. Can you come back? Maybe, but not on this day, and not against the team that if it comes to tiebreakers playoff time, this might be one you're going to wish you won. Rams Colts 29-23 overtime game. This was way closer than it had any right to be, but the Rams came through at the very last moment with Pico Nakua, who got 163 yards, 1 touchdown. Matthew Stafford got a touchdown, 319 yards. And it was just an all-around complete effort from the Rams, who are looking a lot more like the Rams of old than the Rams of last year. I'm not saying this is a Super Bowl caliber winning team. I don't know if they're that level, but they are getting done and winning games that will make or break a season for some teams. These kind of overtime clashes where the winner gets the momentum on their side. Like I've said before, this is a momentum game, football. Rams, they've got the momentum on their side, and let's hope that they don't run with those big old horns right into a brick wall or a golden wall like the 49ers again. But a big win from the Rams, had to win this game so they can stay in the conversation. As for the Colts, you're lucky. Everyone right now is in kind of the same position in that division, so this loss isn't necessarily the most crucial. It's non-conference, and you still have some things going for you. Anthony Richardson, he's getting there. He's learning, but he's getting there. And I think that right now, this overtime loss is not the worst. The fact is, you're in games. You're not getting shut out. You're not getting blown out. And you don't have Matt Ryan, the ultimate terrible quarterback that somehow hoodwinked the Falcons into having a job for so long, and then hoodwinked the Colts for having a job for, what, 5-6 games before he stunk up the joint. And never forget, folks, Matt Ryan has blown the 2 biggest leads in football history, one in the Super Bowl and one against the team they had no right doing it against. Bucs Saints 26-9. Hey, don't look now, but this Bucs team is 3-1 for the team that everyone said was going to be 3-13 and tanking for Caleb Williams. How's it feel, Booger McFarland? How's it feel to be named Booger? At least you could have been named Goober so you could at least have a cartoon peanut named after you, but instead you just look like one. And now you look like a total dunce cap because the Buccaneers took care of business in New Orleans better than they have in years. 3rd consecutive victory. Baker Mayfield out balling. 246 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception that the defense got right back like 5 yards later. So it wasn't even a matter of an issue. The only issue here, Mike Evans is down. Now, it doesn't seem like it's going to be long-term, and the good thing is you've got a strong depth of wide receiving core. Chris Godwin stepped up his game. Rachaad White, 15 carries and 56 yards. They have to get this running game going better. But this was the most complete effort from Tampa Bay, and this was the most complete failure from the Saints, who defensively have been allowing the fewest touchdowns scored in the first 4 games until Tampa came to town. They couldn't do diddly poo offensively, thanks to the great Jim Mora, who was on the Saints and was fired the day after for saying that. So in order to quote Jim Mora, you know what, why don't we just take the next 3 seconds to just have that clip of Jim Mora saying,
well, what happened was that second game, we got our ass kicked, or the second half. We just got our ass totally kicked. We couldn't do diddly poo.
I don't know what this means for the Saints, but right now, Tampa Bay is in firm control of the NFC South, and that's something that not even I, a devout Tampa Bay fan, thought he was going to say. So, good on them. Rest up. You got a really tough Lions team coming out of that bye, but it's going to be a battle of grit, and I can't wait to see it. Eagles Commanders, 34-31, overtime game. First of all, the Commanders, Sam Howell, he's starting to get it. He's starting to piece it together slowly but surely. He's starting to piece it together, and he had a great game playing against the defending NFC champions, who are not necessarily looking like the strongest 4-0 team on the face of the earth. Their most emphatic win was probably against Tampa Bay, and that wasn't even that much of an emphatic win. So this team, they're doing fine. They're winning. Still, they're finding ways to win. Jalen Hurts, 319 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. You know, DeAndre Swift, 56 yards, 1 touchdown. A.J. Brown, 2 touchdowns. You know, it's not like the Eagles aren't doing what they've been doing. But these dogs aren't fighting as much like dogs the way they were fighting like hounds last year. And at what point is the other shoe going to drop on this team? We're going to have to wait to find out. But this first quarter, they've won all of them. So you can't take that away from them. We'll see what happens down the stretch. Vikings-Panthers, 21-13. Somebody had to win this game. And you know, Bryce Young got 204 yards, no touchdowns. Justin Jefferson, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kirk Cousins playing a game. But neither of these teams are really looking like anybody should be paying any attention to them. What happened to Brian Flores' defense? This is sad from the Vikings, and I knew that they weren't going to be good, but I didn't think they weren't going to be this bad. They really are stanking up the joint, and the Panthers, who have almost nothing together with Frank Reich, who I don't believe is a quality coach, and Bryce Young, who got his bell rung, as far as getting just hoofed this game, only accumulating 13 points, not getting a touchdown. The Vikings somebody had to win this game. It turned out to be the Vikings. Is that going to change their momentum?
Wrong.
And I'm sure the Panthers are going to win a game fairly soon, right?
Wrong.
Steelers-Texans, 6-30. Holy Halliburton. So I'll tell you what, man. In addition to having some of the snazziest red uniforms that aren't in Tampa Bay, there's a guy you got to look out for here in Houston. And it's not C.J. Stroud. As great as C.J. Stroud has been, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions at all 4 games and 306 yards. The guy you got to watch on this team is the wide receiver, Nico Collins. That dude was everywhere. He was catching balls whether C.J. Stroud put him in good position or not. This guy is a stud. This guy has a future in this league. And so long as Nico Collins keeps playing at this level, Houston is going to be a dark horse to steal this division. So don't rule this out, Texans fans. You've got something going on in Houston. There's something happening here. And I'm impressed. I am impressed with you, Houston. But it's only if you're 2-2 and you're heading into the next quarter of gameplay, we're going to find out exactly what you are by week 8. But you can't deny this was impressive. As for Pittsburgh, are the fans right in blaming Matt Canada? I mean, this is a pathetic offensive effort here by the Steelers, and I can't imagine you can put all that on Kenny Pickett, because it seems like this offense, they've got tools, but they don't have a ton of offensive weapons as far as wide receivers go. They've got Najee Harris, and he's been doing okay, but 6 points. You know, maybe they should ship Matt Canada back to Canada, but hey, because the people in Pittsburgh are certainly making sure that he knows that they are not his buddy guy, and they're not his guy, friend. And maybe somebody would go back and get a new offensive coordinator, buddy. And in any case, good job for the Texans for having such a breakout game. Chargers-Raiders, 24-17. I don't have anything to say about this. Even when Staley wins, he loses. Aiden O'Connell, 238 yards and a pick. I got nothing. Like Skylar, I got nothing. The Chargers are 2-2. Who gives a shit?
Get out of my sight. Get out of my sight.
The Raiders are 1-3, and Josh McDaniels, I said it before, I didn't believe he was a good coach. I didn't think they should have gotten rid of Rich Saccherini when he took over from John Gruden. Shout out, I hope he wins his lawsuit. It's just more evident day by day that they made a very bad call in thinking that Josh McDaniels was going to be the answer for this team. And the sooner this season ends for the Raiders, I think the better, because then they can really start to analyze what they are working with and what they need to do to get rid of the rest. Boys, Patriots, 38-3. What a dominant effort from the team with the weakest 4-game schedule in the league. You beat the pathetic Giants, who are scoring nothing. You beat the Jets, who are reeling from a bad quarterback in Zach Wilson, and recognizing that maybe Robert Saleh is not the head coach everybody thought he is. You lost to a team that everyone said was tanking in the Cardinals, and now you go ahead and destroy the Patriots, who are on such a downswing. They're going to hit bottom before Mandingo. And it's just, the Cowboys, hooray, hooray, you're beating cupcake teams. Go Dallas. I hope you get that. Post the meme up of the guy who's popping the champagne in like 7th place. We'll see how well you play come December, Dallas. But you're not going to fool me with this weak-ass schedule that you're all of a sudden Super Bowl contenders, because you ain't proven nothing yet. We'll see how you do when you face the Niners. As for the Patriots,
I'm in favor of execution. Maybe our entire team needs to be executed after tonight.
I said it at the beginning of the season, but it becomes more and more evident with the way this general manager deal has gone and how little and how few people they've had. Bill Belichick needs to be removed from his general manager duties. I'm not saying his head coaching duties, but they need somebody else's eyes on recruiting talent and getting talent in, because other than Juju Smith-Schuster, they have no one. And that is no more evident than the fact that this Cowboys team that is average at best mowed over the team that won 6 Super Bowls. This should have been a clash of the ages. Instead, it was just depressing. So I don't know what to make of this, New England, but there is a lot of change coming, I think. Niners Cardinals, 35-16 as I continue to ramble on. 49ers keep getting it done and keep getting it done convincingly. I don't know what else to say. Brock Purdy's not having any sophomore slump. Christian McCaffrey, my God, 20 carries, 106 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Brandon Ayuk, 148 yards. I mean, this team is playing more complete football than any other team in the league right now, full stop. Every game they are making equally as powerful and strong, and they are having offensive weapons up the ass, and their defenses have really, really improved from last year, man. I had a really tough time saying that the 49ers were going to be involved in the Super Bowl, but through 4 games, I don't see any team stopping this team right now. So good on them. As for the Cardinals, hey, they're fighting, man. They may not be slaughtering things, but they're fighting. And so long as this team is fighting, I don't really think it matters what record they are. They're just trying to find what they've got. So no fault on the Cardinals here. Hey, you beat the Cowboys last week, so 1-3, you know that this season isn't going to be much for the Cardinals, but we'll see what happens. But another divisional loss, it's what it is. Chiefs-Jets, 23-20. I will say this was a bit surprising, because the Jets rallied because of, presumably, an Aaron Rodgers promo. But, Zach Wilson, 245 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Alan Lazard, 61 yards and a touchdown. The Jets, they have the ability. But what they don't have is the momentum, and they don't have the schedule that makes me believe that even though they got close, that this really means anything for them going forward. Unless Aaron Rodgers comes back next week and goes, lols, I actually didn't tear it, I just kind of pulled it. I don't see much respite coming out of this game with the Jets, no matter how much life you see in Zach Wilson. I don't think you're going to get Zach Wilson to ever do what you need him to do, and he's just going to go to another long list of quarterbacks that the Jets cannot seem to make. As for the Chiefs, boy, Taylor Swift is making you a hell of a lot of money, man. So it almost doesn't even matter whether you win or not. The Chiefs are going to slowly end up making more money than the Cowboys do if they get this many celebrities on the take. Which Chiefs member do I have to fuck to get some recognition around here? Seahawks Giants 24-3. Monday Night Football, last game, and this had to feel good for Geno Smith. The guy that benched Eli Manning, Geno Smith, comes in and plays a fairly decent game, gets a touchdown in gets a touchdown in 3 out of the 4 quarters. They play a great defensive game. Everybody said, hey, Skyler said last week, hey.
So, Seattle, I know you won this game, but, do you have a defense?
The Seahawks took that personally. 11 sacks. 11 sacks. What do you do with this Seahawks team? You don't bet against them right now because except for that first week loss, they look better than they did last year, and that's a scary proposition. As for the Giants, I wanted to believe, but you breaking my heart, New York. You breaking my heart, and you also suck. Goodbye.
Week 5 of something. Is it important? I don't know.
What do you want to do today?
I don't know. What do you want to do today?
I don't know. What do you want to do today?
I don't know. What do you want to do today?
I know what I want to do today.
That's right, folks. It's week 5 in the NFL. We're here to talk about balls and feet and men who play with them. Not what Joshua thinking. We're here with week 5 in the NFL. This is kind of like one of the big points of the season. We're like, okay, if your season's going to be made, it's going to be made this week. And if your season's going to be lost, it's going to be made this week. So let's go through these results and see what happens. Thursday Night Football. Chicago Bears, Washington Commanders. In a battle that can only be described as a mid-off, Chicago wins a game, finally. Did you know that Chicago Bears have not won a football game before all this shit happened with the world going to hell? Yeah, Chicago, you won this game. I'm good for you. 40-20, Justin Fields actually looking like a quarterback. But this doesn't save the fact that your franchise is still a shithole. Claypool had to be traded to the Miami Dolphins. I feel bad for Chase Claypool, but then he kind of did it to himself, going all Antonio Brown on people. By the way, don't look up Antonio Brown, people. It's not good.
FBI, open up!
Washington, the commies tried, but you're not there yet. Enjoy mediocrity this year and the next year and maybe the year after that, as you go through this period of uncertainty. Chicago, congrats on the win. Now lose next week. And we go international to London once again for the Jaguars and the Bills. If the plan is to have the Jacksonville Jaguars be part of the new football London experience or the new NFL Europe, I'm all for it because we can get them the fuck out of Jacksonville the sooner the better. Because they play better in London than they do in America. I don't know how to feel about this one. Buffalo, you should have won. But I also understand because of the time zone difference and the Jaguars being in London, they have more of an advantage, I guess. I don't know. This was a weird game. Trevor Lawrence, you did well. 315 yards, 1 touchdown, and beautiful hair conditioner. Josh Allen was also good, even though he did have that pick. But, I mean, you can't just be Josh Allen. It has to be Josh Allen and the other members of this team. That defense has to hold up, and they did not hold up against a Jaguars team that, for the most part, nobody fears their offense. I mean, we'll see what happens, Jacksonville. You have life, and you're in a division that sucks, so maybe you'll have a chance. Now we go to Massacre in New England.
Fatality.
My goodness, I have never seen the New England Patriots lose a game like they lost against New Orleans Saints today. Mac Jones is not it and has never been it. And please, people, stop saying that Mac Jones being on the 49ers will be good. Because let's be honest, Mac Jones ain't Brock Purdy. I think I'm over the Mac Jones experience. I'm also over Bill Belichick. Dude doesn't have the touch anymore.
You got the touch. You got the power.
He should retire. The Patriots should move on to a new era. Just start over because you're not going to get there with the current cast that you have. Saints, you win. I guess Derek Carr had a decent night. But it's also the Patriots, who may be one of the worst season football. I don't know what I'm going to feel about this. Just ring the bells and celebrate this victory. Who knows what happens. Indianapolis, Tennessee. Your Colts won, but Anthony Richardson got hurt again. Listen, Indy, I know that Pat McAfee is your boy. I know that he's been trying to hype you guys up, but give me something to be happy about. I don't want to watch Anthony Richardson die every single week and having to go back to Gardner Minshew. I mean, you got Jonathan Taylor back. He looked rusty, but hopefully after a few more practices and stuff, he's going to look good. Does that save your season? I guess in this week of a division, it could be. Tennessee, I'm tired of Tannehill. Just move on to fucking Will Levis already, because I'm not inspired. It's just not going no more. Alrighty, Steelers and Ravens. Remember when the Steelers and Ravens were good and like those games were prime time and you had to watch them because they affected the NFL? Pepperidge Farm remembers. I don't know how to feel about this. Like, Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator of Pittsburgh Steelers, is trying to be fired.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
His play calling sucks. Mike Tomlin should not be getting this much of a pass for having one of the worst offensive coordinators in the game. And this is the team that won because of fucking Kenny Pickett calling a audible, aka he hated the play that was going to be called, and giving a hope touchdown late in that game. Just fire Matt Canada. Move on from him. Get a new offensive coordinator. Tomlin, I don't know how you survived this long. It's just because you get 9 or 8 wins and get into the playoffs every once in a while. But seriously, stop supporting your OC so much. Baltimore, I don't know what to feel about you. 1 week you look good, 1 week you look bad. Lamar Jackson, you got paid a shit ton of money. Stop choking. I'm being serious. Stop choking. We'll see what happens with the Baltimore Ravens, but I'm not feeling confident about them right now. Pittsburgh, do what you do. Win 9 or 10 games and lose in the playoffs. Carolina and Detroit. Those Lions, they looking good. They looking really good. They took Bryce Young and they made him a little better than what I expected from the Panthers. And I like that the Panthers showed some fight, when the game was over already. But Detroit just put their boot on the neck and just stomped on it. Detroit, you're looking good. Keep going. Make sure that you prove that underachievers can achieve something once in a while. Just like this channel's Josh again. Falcons, Texans. This was a football game. I mean, the Falcons looked okay with the comeback. I don't know what to feel about this one. Like the Texans, you had the game won, and you let the Falcons come back. You made Desmond Ridder look good. C.J. Stroud had an okay game, but that defense could not stop the Falcons. I don't know. There are football games that I honestly, when I watch them, I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna have this in the background. I don't care. I'm watching something else. Who cares? And that was one of them. Dolphins, Giants. So after the Dolphins got their mouth smacked, they decided to do the mouth smacking. Get it?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Anyways, New York Giants, your season's over. Pack it in, get rid of Daniel Jones, and move on. Miami, you save your season a little bit. I don't know, are the Dolphins good or are they bad? It's hard to tell. This team needs something to definitively say that they're one way or another going to be a contender in this league. We'll see what happens with next game. I feel like that will be... It's going to be an evolution with the Dolphins. They're going to have to prove that they can play against verified good teams like Buffalo before they can determine themselves as contenders in the AFC. Bengals and Cardinals. Well, the Cardinals are committed to the tank, but looking good while doing it. They're trying, and that's the most important thing with a team that's tanking, is that yes, you're going to lose games, but as long as you try, that's all that matters. Cincinnati, you win this game. It was a little bit closer than it should have been, but at this point, given that Joe Burrow is currently playing with one half of an arm, it should be expected. I just want to make sure that you guys are careful, because the way things are going, your season may feel badly if you keep losing games. So just keep winning, focus on yourselves, and make sure that you do what you do. Well, I gotta turn off my oven real quickly.
I'm keeping that in.
No, you are not.
Bitch, I do what I want!
Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Rams. And yes, St. Louis, I'm sorry for you. The Eagles win in a not so convincing way. The Eagles are one of 2 undefeated teams in the NFL, and I don't know how to feel about them. Like, they're a good team. They're going to go back to the NFC Championship, but it kind of feels like they're middling. I don't know how to describe it. It just feels like they're a middle. Hopefully they turn it on later is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. The Rams are not a great team, but they're still put up an effort. But it feels like the Eagles should have won more than they actually did by. I guess if you're going to play your weakest football, it should be earlier in the season. So once you play your hardest football, your best football, then it's going to be later on. Either way, good job, Eagles. Do what you do. Throw batteries at Santa. New York Jets. Denver Broncos. Do I have to talk about this game? Damn it, it's in the contract. Damn it, Sean. Listen, it's the Jets. Even when they win, they lose. What is the point of winning this game against the Broncos and giving your fan base hope? I have no idea what you are thinking. Zach Wilson won this game despite being Zach Wilson. That's just a credit to this offense's great running game, and more importantly, that defense. Look at the fact that the Jets scored 31 points. How? Just how? You have to thank Greg Zerloin for having 5 field goals. He was the reason why this team won. It wasn't Zach Wilson, okay? In Denver, I've already said it, but I'll say it again. Fire Sean Payton, get rid of Russell Wilson, rebuild this team, because this ain't it, Chief. This ain't it. Kansas City, Minnesota. What do you know? A game without Taylor Swift. Thank God. But anyways, the Vikings have proved that they can be a good team, or are the Chiefs' defense susceptible to being bad? Somewhere, the answer's in the middle. I mean, the Chiefs' offense is still good. I kind of laughed at the fact that Travis Kelce got injured on the field, and all the Swifties are like, we must get rid of the artificial turf. My goodness, if there was this much uproar over turf, imagine what would happen if fans actually got together and got mad about something that actually mattered. Like, you know, the government. Anyways, I feel that the Kansas City Chiefs are one of the best teams. They're going to be proven to be one of the best teams until someone smacks them in the mouth. Detroit did a good job with that, but no one else has stood in their way, but they've also had a somewhat easy schedule. The Chiefs move into Week 6, and they're going to play the Broncos on a short week. They should have no problem with that one. I feel like Kansas City is going to do what they do until they go up against a real football team. And speaking of real football teams, Sunday Night Football, San Francisco 49ers versus the Dallas Cowboys. This was as thorough a probing as you could possibly do. The San Francisco 49ers proceeded to take the Dallas Cowboys and destroy them for 60 minutes. And this was beautiful. Listen, George Kittle, happy National Tight End Day. This man, 3 touchdowns. He caught a pass on a flea flicker. That was amazing. This guy is my tight end. He represents Tight End University. He also represents Eddie Guerrero on Pat McAfee's show. Just, if you could find the perfect pro wrestling and football star into one, that would be him. So thank you, George Kittle, for doing what you do well. Brock Purdy, proving that he's a good quarterback. This offense goes burr in the best possible way. Dallas, you're not in an elite territory yet. You're getting there, but you ain't elite territory. But you want to know how you could get there faster? Get rid of Dak Prescott. Dak is Black Kirk Cousins. And that's saying something, okay? He needs to prove that he can play ball against a good team and when it matters. And he has not proven it in his 8-year NFL career. Monday Night Football. Listen, I feel bad for Monday Night Football. I feel bad for you so badly. The Packers and the Raiders, both of you suck. Both of you are terrible, and neither of you should be on prime time. But you are here because the NFL lacks enough good options. They really need to do something with the NFL where they don't have shitty games beyond prime time. Jimmy Garoppolo is not it, and never been it, and never going to be it. The 49ers have thankfully learned that. The Raiders, well, Jordan Love, I don't know if he is it, but you're not going to prove it with a game like this. I need to see more from Jordan Love before I'm prepared to say that the Packers made a mistake moving on from Aaron Rodgers. Because at this point, I have no idea. Overall, this is just a game. Not much to say here. Good for the Packers, I guess, but still, the Raiders win. Football. Men beating each other up. Yay, question mark? Give me the hockey season. Fuck it.